Good afternoon and happy Thursday, everyone. My research project explores the concept of natural rights, as that concept has been borrowed over time from English philosopher John Locke, and what its applications to colonial slavery was. Specifically, my research project focuses on the different seemingly duplicitous applications of the concept of natural rights to the colonial revolutionary pursuits for freedom and independence for Britain, but not to the colonial system of slavery. At the start of my research, I hypothesized that the concepts of natural rights and the ideas of freedom and independence in the early mid to 18th century were interpreted differently than how we understand them today. Specifically, I suggest that the term slavery, as the revolutionary leaders used it, is not conceptualized the same way that we understand the system of slavery um, in the 18th century. Um, the pursuit of freedom from Britain's tyranny was viewed as a type of civil or political type of slavery, with the desire to obtain a certain type of autonomy or independence or collective autonomy or independence. This is a concept that many revolutionary leaders did not believe was applicable to the American system of slavery. Unfortunately, it was this duplicitous usage of the term slavery, or this duplicitous usage, that resulted in many revolutionary figures being seen as hypocrites. On the one hand, we have the document, the Declaration of Independence, and on the other hand, we have the institution of American slavery, which thrived before and after um, the Declaration of Independence. But however, they were soon forced to confront that inconsistency between their beliefs and their actual actions. So, my research findings essentially confirm that hypothesis that many revolutionaries did not see their pursuit for independence from the slavery of Britain as a similar plight that was extendable to African slaves. And they did so for a host of different reasons my research uncovered. Um, my research indicates that while unfortunately many did not see the African slave experience as synonymous to theirs, some even went a step further to use it as an opportunity to underscore the dichotomy between the races, by advocating that African slaves were somehow undeserving of freedom, unworthy, um, did not pursue it on their own, and therefore they did not deserve it. There were a host of fabricated reasons that they came up with in order to justify the obviously apparent dichotomy between um, the system of American slavery and their pursuit of freedom from Britain. They use these arguments also to further distance their movement, the revolutionary movement, from the anti slavery movement, which was something that was kind of peaking its head at the time. Now, my research in no way indicates that this was a universal feeling that was ascribed to by all revolutionary leaders, but the desire to create distance between the patriot movement and African slavery was strongly felt by most, if nothing more than because it was a way, it was felt that it was a way to focus on one issue at a time, the issue of independence, the issue of um, removing itself from the tyranny of Britain, and that needed to, just for efficiency's sake, be separate from the issue of African slavery. So even revolutionaries who did not support African slavery still, to some degree, thought that it was a separate issue that needed to be dealt with at a separate time. Uh, while time did not allow me to research every position of all the leading revolutionaries at the time, for the most part, I was able to glean what I think is the wide spectrum of opinions on the matter. For revolutionaries such as Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, for example, my findings were more plainly available. They were, easier to uncover as these men clearly composed and drafted many documents and letters in which they were not apprehensive to state their views on not just slavery, but its place in the newly independent nation. However, even with their views plainly before me, people like Thomas Jefferson appear to modify and change their opinions over time based on new experiences and whatnot. So it was somewhat challenging to nail down their true sentiments of or their position on slavery. Furthermore, revolutionaries like George Washington were a little bit more nuanced in his discussion of the system of slavery in America. And so it was also a little bit difficult to uncover the extent to which he might have been influenced by Locke's theory of natural rights. But all in all, the research project was very exciting and informative. And from what I had the opportunity to cover in these few short weeks, this project really could go so much further to explore more leaders, including women, and it also could discuss England's interpretation of the apparent hypocrisy that was present in the revolutionary movement. Thank you.